here with my coffee, and I hope you get yours and fill your cup. I'm actually calling this episode 22 and a half because I want to pick up from where we left off last week. That ringing of the bell that I heard that thought was the bell finishing my round was actually a bell to let me know that people, if they wanted to, can call in to the podcast. And when they call in, we'll be able to hear them and we can have an exchange of information that way, a conversation, a chat that way. So my phone is handy. If we decide to move that way, I will announce my phone number at some point. But first, I want to take a minute and thank Revolution Coffee, veteran owned. And it is one of the best coffees you're going to drink. They do not have a drive-through. They do not have a brick and mortar building. They just process the beans and ship out the coffee that that you like to you. Absolutely fantastic coffee, even better customer service. You can find them online at Revolution Coffee Company. Also, I want to take a moment and thank Done Right TV. Again, if you are looking for internet and security needs, give Done Right a call here in West Davenport, in Davenport. And picking up from last Wednesday's episode when we were talking about sleep, one of the things we were talking about was what you were saying to yourself and also the common sense practices. There are sleep routines. You do that with your little kids, and there's a method to that and a reason for that. So you can also have a sleep routine for yourself. And just like you can have a trigger that triggers anxiety, you can have a trigger that triggers sleep or an anchor for sleep. So when I put on the sleep pants, I know it's time to sleep. My body automatically starts to relax. I start to yawn. Certain things trigger that. When I started doing hypnosis, and I never knew it before I started doing hypnosis, that when people relax, their hands actually close up. And my thumb tucks. And I have a feeling I was not a thumb sucker at any time in my life. Even in the womb, Bret, I don't think I sucked my thumb because I think even in the womb, my thumb was tucked. And this is a natural relaxation response. There are natural relaxation responses, just like when I'm doing hypnosis with someone, taking in that big deep breath. Someone's doing meditation, they're taking in that big deep breath. So all those things help trigger relaxation. The thumb and forefinger together as you're taking in the deep breathing will also help anchor and trigger relaxation for you. For some people, it is reading a book. For other people, it's listening to music. Whatever is right for you that helps you anchor and trigger relaxation so you can improve your quality of sleep. And all of that, again, goes back to the things we say to ourselves and how we talk to ourselves. I always ask my clients, if you were your own friend and the way you talk to yourself, how long would you hang out with you? How long would you be your friend? Sometimes we are our own worst enemy and our own self-talk is pretty negative. I'm also somebody that's experienced this myself. It's not unfamiliar to me. The imposter syndrome type thing is, I think, what they call it now. I can remember at some point in my life when I was young, someone saying to me, "Who do you think you are?" And that stuck with me because it put doubt in my mind as, yeah, who do I think I am? And am I worthy? Do I deserve? All these kind of questions went into that statement, which in hindsight, as an adult looking back, I can see that it wasn't intended as a negative, but because I was young, I was not able to discern and distinguish it wasn't. And part of what happened with that was I heard myself actually say that same thing to my oldest child. And I said to her jokingly as she was supervising her father and telling him what to do as he was doing some work around the house, I jokingly said to her, "Bret, who do you think you are?" And I could see her kind of deflate right in front of my eyes. And I quickly changed what I said. And I said, "I know who you are." I said, "You're bright, you're beautiful, you're smart, and went with that. And she then went on to get a 4-year full ride scholarship to Notre Dame. So she definitely started to believe me when I started speaking to her more correctly about who you are. She actually turned down the scholarship and got a different one. That's my kid. That would be something. Anyway, so the way we talk to our kids is real important because they believe us. They are the sponges, they are the empty slate. And that's one thing I really have big issues about. I'm pretty sensitive about how people talk to their kids and what they say to their kids because the kids, everybody's subconscious is like that of a 4 or 5-year-old child. And again, without the ability to discern, without the experiences to discern, we believe what the adults in our lives say to us. So if someone says to a kid something along the lines of, you can't sit down, and that kid has just indulged in the Easter basket candy, and they're running on a sugar high, you're right, they can't sit down. But the kid doesn't get the rest of that information. All the adult said was, you can't sit down. And so the kid takes that as fact. And I even witnessed one little kid, one young lady who was working on a project, a little girl, kindergartner, and in the middle of working on the project, she jumped up and said out loud, I can't sit down. And that was really contradictory to what she had just been doing. So kids believe what they are told. I believe that there's people walking around that their parents told them they were brilliant, and they perpetuate that. They believe it, and they're not necessarily brilliant. There are also people who walk around who people told them they weren't smart or they were stupid, and they believe it. And that's a shame because what you believe you do perpetuate. Even today in doing this without a guest, the who do you think you are kind of wants to creep in, and that having a guest that someone would want to listen to is the better way to go about this versus talking about what I know, and what I know is the subconscious and human nature, the way the brain processes information, and how we do things based on experience and our own beliefs. So if you're talking to yourself and you are saying to yourself that you are a screw up, you're going to create that environment. And it could have been that someone in the past told you you were a screw up. And maybe that one day you did screw up, but everybody's human and we make mistakes. That's part of being human. Nobody is perfect. And in which case, the little kid, when we see the little kid make a mistake, typically people are pretty forgiving and understanding the kid is learning. Even when you're a grown adult, you're still learning and you're still experiencing. So if you make a mistake, I suggest, my advice is cut yourself some slack, be kind to yourself. You're learning, and if you haven't done this before, take some of that pressure off yourself if you aren't doing it exactly the way you want to be doing or seeing the results you want to see. I took that art class recently, and trust the process has been in my brain. Sometimes, when we plant the seeds, the farmers aren't out there babysitting the dirt, but when it starts coming out of the ground, that's when they start paying attention. So they plant the seed having faith that when all the other conditions are right, the plant is going to come out of the ground. The corn's going to come up, the soybean's going to come up. So when we plant those seeds, we don't necessarily need to pay attention to it, and what we plant is still going to come up, and whether that's positive or whether that's negative. So if you're telling your little kid that he or she is a monster, and that kid is watching TV and they're seeing things that have monsters in it, don't be surprised if they start acting monster-like. If you're telling their kid, that they're stupid or they can't do anything right, you really are setting them up for failure. And my suggestion is, why not set them up for success? Even as an experiment, why not talk to them a little different? You have nothing to lose. In which case, if your teenager is giving you a hard time, you can agree with them. Yes, it stinks to be a teenager. It sucks to be a teenager. Responsibility isn't fun. But as you get older and you have the responsibility, these are all the good things that comes with that responsibility. So there's always the negative if a person wants to focus on the negative, and there's always the positive if the person wants to focus on the positive. And I believe that's the contrast of the yin and yang. You can't appreciate the positive if you haven't experienced a negative, and not to dwell on the negative, but to extract what you can use for the positive and use it as a building block, a stepping stone for the next success in your life, because each and every success will build that foundation to make the next success that much easier. So what does it hurt to decide even Monday is a great day? Doesn't have to just be Wednesday, doesn't have to just be Friday, Saturday, the weekend. Every day can be a great day if you decide it's a great day. There's the story I like to tell about the man that was retiring, and he took the new guy along on the truck route with him to show him how to do the job. And the young guy was texting to his buddies about how this was going to stink because he was having to carry the old guy today and carry his weight doing this job. Well, at the end of the day, they're driving back to the shop, back to the building, and the young guy looks over at the older guy about ready to retire and says, "I don't get it. You look great. You worked harder than I did today. Sweated my butt off. We worked hard. And you sound just as good as we did when we left at 8 o'clock this morning. And me, I feel like I've been run over by this truck." And the older man said to him, "It's simply how you approached it. I approached the day as it's just a day, out visiting people, taking care of business, and you approached it like it was work." It's simply how you approach things sometimes. So if you believe that you can't do it, you're right. And when you believe that you can, you are also right. And I'm sure you've heard that before. But again, with your kids, be careful how you speak to your kids. I had an experience with a lady one day, and she was walking, and her little boy was looking down at his feet, and he was putting his feet right in front of each other as he was walking, heel to toe. And he was looking down at his feet as he was walking out of the building. And people that were coming in were having to walk around him. So his mom kept saying, "Nathan," let's just say that was his name, "you're not looking up." And Nathan keeps walking, looking down at his toes, and people are walking around him. And she's saying, "Nathan, you're not looking up." And Nathan keeps walking, looking down at his toes, watching his shadow as he's walking. And finally she grabs him and she says, "Nathan, you're not looking up." And the look of shock on that little boy's face from being grabbed from behind from his mom, when in his mind he was not doing anything wrong, I'll never forget that. And what she should have been saying to him simply was, "Nathan, look up. I need you to watch for the people walking on the sidewalk." And instead she kept saying, "Nathan, you're not looking up," which just reinforced for Nathan to keep walking the way he was walking, looking down, looking at his shadow. So just be aware, parents, of what you're saying to your kids. Like I mentioned last week, and this is a continuation, episode 22 and a half. You're going to get what you ask for. If you tell them to not slam the door, you can bet they're going to slam the door. If you tell them to not run, you can bet they're going to run. What you want them to do is walk. I always told my kids before we go into a store that this place is for your eyes and not your hands. So we're going to keep our hands off when we are in this store. And when you set up the expectations before you go in, everything seems to go better. So again, I let my kids know that this is not a place for your hands. You can look all you want. This is a hands-off place. And I also taught my kids that your hands are made for good. They're made to help people. They're made to work. They're made to help you eat. They are not meant to hurt anybody else. I was one of those moms that I could go into my kid's school, and I was lucky at recess I could spend lunchtime with her and go out and spend time on the lunch outside at recess on the playgrounds. And I really believe kids, when they say they live what they learn, you could see that kid that if there was something going on and something in the classroom, that they would say to the next kid, excuse me, please. And then you would have that next kid that would say, get out of my way. And I'm pretty sure that's what each kid heard at home. So the kids are not hiding what is happening at home. And that's what's going to perpetuate for the next generation and the next generation, because kids live what they learn, and they learn at home. It's not always a parent. It can be other family members. It can be other adults, teachers, even the bus drivers, because the subconscious, like with hypnosis, recognizes authority figures, recognizes repetition, recognizes strong emotion. And so when you put those together, you create habits, you create belief systems. And so when you get an authority figure who is repeatedly telling someone they can't do something, or they are stupid, or whatever the issue is, and then if you add a strong emotion to it, you've really built that into the subconscious, and it is going to become something that that person that heard that information believed. And I also used to tell my kids, and still tell my kids, just because someone says something does not make it true. Just because someone says something does not make it true. You have the ability to discern. You have the ability to decide whether this person is putting their bad day off on you, or whether what they're saying is legitimate. In which case, if what they're saying is legitimate, it's time for you to adjust. If this person is throwing their bad day off on you, that person is in a place where adjustment is needed, and it's not your job to adjust them. So we are set up for the chat. If anybody wants to ask any questions, if anybody wants to call in, show up on the chat first, and I'll decide if I want to give you my phone number. Bret's laughing over there, because that's why I said I don't even answer my phone for spam calls. And here my phone number is set up to do this. And so I'm not even positive I want to answer the phone. So you got to kind of clue me in first, so I know I want to answer the phone. And see, Bret's going to be, you're just going to test me out here, aren't you? That's okay. It's all right. So yeah, your kids, the way you speak to your kids, please be aware. Please be aware, too, of how you speak to yourself and what you're saying to yourself. If you're saying to yourself, and I used to do this, that's how I know. If I eat this, it'll go straight to my thighs or my hips. You might as well skip the digestion process and just tape the cupcake, the Twinkie, on your hips or your thighs, because it's going to go exactly where you direct it to go. Same way if you say, I can't lose weight, or I can't lose weight because my metabolism has slowed down because I'm getting older. Realistically, if that were true, everybody who is older would be overweight. And so, yes, your metabolism does slow down, but there are things that you can do to speed up your metabolism, taking into consideration if a person is on a med that actually slows down the metabolism, all that kind of stuff. So just being aware of what you're saying to yourself and making sure it is positive. We talked about sleep last week. Start telling yourself, I'm a good sleeper. What can it hurt? I sleep good. What can it hurt to say I have good quality sleep? It can't hurt anything to start speaking positively to yourself and start changing the language. If you say to yourself, I'm a screw up, say to yourself, in the past I used to be a screw up, but now I am better at making good decisions, decisions that give me benefits. I'm tired of living with consequences of my decisions, and I'm choosing the benefits now for my mind, for my body, and for my spirit. So just being aware, again, of the things you're saying to yourself so you can. Awareness is key. If you aren't even aware, you can't make a change. So hear yourself, what you're saying to yourself inside, and maybe even outside, how you speak to yourself. One of the things that bothers me, and now the people around me that say it will be more aware, is when, and I don't even want to say this because I don't like to hear it, is when someone says, that kills me. I really don't like to hear that, because I feel like it is an assault, and the body is taking that literally. And so my dad, if you didn't know, I've talked about it before, passed away from brain cancer, and he retired in January, got sick in February, and lived about 11 months. And one of the things my dad always said was, I hope I am not one of those people that retire and die. So I'm real sensitive about how people talk to their kids. I'm sensitive about how people talk to themselves. So just be aware of the words you're using, the things you say to yourself, and speak life. What can it hurt to speak life? Do your own social experiment and see how the people around you react to changing up your own language, to changing the things you say to yourself. There's a movie that goes back to 2004. It's called The Illusion with Kirk Douglas. Have you ever heard about it, Bret? It's an independent film. Up until he did the movie with his son and his grandson, this was his last movie that he did. It's called The Illusion. It is a great movie. And in the movie, the character that is the son, with Kirk Douglas being the father, every time he screws up in life, he hears his father's voice telling him he's a screw up. And it puts him in that, that whirlpool that just sucks him down. And it just sucks him down even more and even more and even more. And I don't want to ruin the movie for you. You can find it on the internet. Great movie. I really suggest you watch it, especially if your self-talk and your relationship with a parent is difficult. And if that parent has passed, even more so. Please watch The Illusion with Kirk Douglas. I don't think you'd be disappointed. And I hope that you would even come back on one of the future shows and comment that you watched it, or just even comment on the page that you watched it and what you got out of the movie. I call it mind medicine. And there's a lot of things that are very helpful for the body, physically helpful for the body. Exercise, helpful for the body. It's helpful physically, it's helpful mentally. And there are things that are just, there's some books you can read, things you can do that are mind medicine. They're physically, mentally good for your mind. And the movie The Illusion is one of those movies that's really good for your mind. Another movie I like is The Truman Show. Have you seen that one with Jim Carrey? I'm going to be in Fairfield, Iowa in a couple of weeks, and that movie reminds me of that town. And I'm always kind of looking for cameras because of the movie is about like the ultimate reality show. And we are all, Truman in the movie is living, he's the main character in a reality show and he doesn't even know it. So that gets you, are we all living in our own little reality show and we are the lead characters? In which case, I'm Cheryl. This is my podcast and this is my reality. Be nice to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be kinder to the people around you. The world needs it. We need the laughter. We need the smiles. If you can smile at someone and not wait for them to smile at you, that would be terrific. Start the smile circle. Start the smile process. How you start your day affects your day. Keep it positive. Keep it positive for your kids. I used to wake mine up not with an alarm. I don't think that's so positive to get woke up like that myself. I used to wake mine up with the hello, beautiful, hello, sunshine. It's going to be a great day today. And again, if you believe what you're told, if you believe what you tell yourself, it is a great day to have a great day. Every day is a great day to have a great day. Understanding stuff happens. And that's, again, where that contrast comes in. I think we have to have the negative to really appreciate and enjoy the positive. Bret, did you have any questions? Because otherwise, it's 12:25-ish, and I'm going to wind her up. Well, I'm already wound up. I'm going to actually wind it down. So I can not say actually anymore. Can you believe my kids say actually a lot?
Actually, yeah.
Actually, they do. There are three little ones walking around going, actually.
One movie also to watch that's very positive, reinforcing, The Shack.
The Shack is a positive movie?
It's actually more toward the religious side. I'm not pushing religion one way
Okay,
or the other.
okay.
That show really affected me and it touched me. So that's a really good
Okay, the Shack, SHACK, the Shack. Who's in it?
Gosh, I can't remember now.
Okay.
I think maybe Tim McGraw, but I'm not positive.
Oh, Tim McGraw. Thump thump. Really?
It's a great movie.
And I missed it. Thump 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 thump.
Maybe.
Did you? Can you hear my heartbeat increasing? Just saying Tim McGraw. He's going to be in Clinton on June 10th. It's a Friday for tailgates and tall boys. And tailgates and tall boys. I'm telling you what. If you need that package protecting, I'm your gal. So
Good show in Clinton.
it is going to be an excellent show in Clinton. You've got Jelly Roll showing up on Saturday. Mitchell Tenpenny's going to be up there. Chase, I mean, Chase Rice, but just the whole thing is going to be awesome.
3 days of fun.
Up in Clinton, Iowa, 8th, 9th, and 10th for tailgates and tall boys. Sonny, did you have a question? How are you talking to yourself today? Did I put you to sleep? Honey, Sonny's comment was he's sleeping. I was like, all right, I won't. That's what I do for a living. I'll take it as a compliment and not any other way because that's my choice to do that. All right, you guys, I hope you have a great day. We are going to be working with Project Brotherhood Resolve and recording a show to put away for the Wednesday before Memorial Weekend. They have a big event coming up in St. Clair Shores, Michigan. It is the Veterans Art Gallery. It is art that has been made by veterans. It's going to be on display up at Trader Todd's in St. Clair Shores, Michigan. And after the parade up there, Memorial Weekend, they're going to have all that art on display. And you can go in and purchase the art. And the proceeds help with Project Brotherhood Resolve, help with that veteran artist, and also help with Mission 22. So we're going to have that one for Wednesday before Memorial Weekend, but we have more good stuff coming on between now and then, I promise. All right, you guys, have a great Wednesday. Peace.